Hi, I am Abby Ranweiler, a psychology major with a concentration in child and family studies and a minor in sociology. The executive director of the National Foster Parent Association gave a vivid account of a scenario regarding siblings in foster care. Picture this: a sibling group of four is taken out of their home and placed in the foster care system due to neglect. They are placed in two separate homes, two in one and two in the other. The oldest of the children, 11 years old, weeps and worries daily, unable to live as she was taking care of the younger children. She grieves her lost siblings and worries about their well-being. What is being done to help them? My thesis question examines what are the implications of separating siblings in foster care. Sibling relationships are the longest relationships we experience in our lifetimes. Siblings enter the foster care system because of issues in the home or with their parents. These issues lead to a separation of children and parents, and further includes a separation from siblings. In the field of psychology, we are constantly working with people that are facing adversity, and children in the foster care system experience so much of it. Addressing issues of separation and understanding why children are taken out of the home can help to alleviate entry into the foster care system and focus on finding ways to keep families together in the first place. Understanding what is being done is important to understanding how we can help and where we as researchers can go from here. When reading through existing literature on the separation of siblings in foster care, I found myself coming across four main themes: attachment theory and how it influences sibling relationships, the reasons for separating siblings and the barriers to keeping them together, the consequences of separation, which commonly includes emotional and social implications, and then various policies that have been put in place to help foster sibling connections. Along with reading through research on siblings in foster care, I performed an interview to help boost my findings and understandings on the importance of sibling relationships. Attachment theory is the idea that we form a deep and intense emotional and social bond early on in life, typically with caregivers. Research is now pointing to the idea that we can form attachments with siblings and many other people in our lives. For children in foster care that are being separated from both their parents and siblings, it can be very traumatic and influence their future relationships and expectations of people in their lives. Researchers suggest examining sibling attachments before placing siblings to determine whether it is of importance to place them together and how this will impact their well-being. It has been found that siblings are like built-in safety nets and provide a sense of comfort and continuity in the lives of children in foster care. Siblings are often the only thing that remains constant, but this isn't the case for those in foster care. Understanding the reasons for separating siblings in foster care and the barriers to keeping them together helps assess what needs to be done and where to go next. We know that larger sibling groups are less likely to be placed together, and by larger, that means sibling groups consisting of more than two children. Foster parents have said that large age gaps means varying needs, and some families cannot support the needs of an infant and a teenager. On top of this, sibling groups in which one or more has a developmental disorder or disability are even more likely to be separated, as parents likely don't have the resources to assess their needs. Lastly, the definition of a sibling only includes siblings that share the same mother and father or the same biological mother. This exclusive definition leaves out many other types of siblings and leads to the breaking of many bonds. Separating siblings influences every aspect of a child's life, and the consequences of this separation can last a lifetime. When attachments are broken or turn into insecure attachments, it changes children's outlooks on relationships. In a study by researcher Amanda Wojciak examining sibling relationships, one child explained that it was much easier to stay apart after they were separated, as seeing each other only meant that they would be separated again. This feeling of abandonment and fear of being hurt is likely to impact future relationship patterns and expectations. Relationships and interactions are thus influenced by those that we experience at a young age. Finally, as a result of trauma and loss of siblings, children may act out of anger or suffer from behavioral issues. All of these risk factors impact their future outcomes socially, emotionally, and academically. Policy regarding siblings in foster care primarily focuses on promoting sibling connections, although it is very scarce. Some states have enacted their own bills, such as the Sibling Bill of Rights, which states that siblings should be placed together, and when that is not possible, they should be placed in close proximity to one another. The Fostering Connections to Success and Increasing Adoptions Act of 2008 was the first federal law that offered states more funding if they tried to maintain sibling relationships. In some cases, such as the state of Michigan in 2014, data collection was to be implemented but failed due to the case overflow and lack of social workers. Lastly, AFCARS reports data and numbers on children in foster care and adoption, but nowhere in these statistics are siblings addressed. This makes it difficult to know exactly how severe the issue of separation is in the foster care system. I conducted one interview to get a better understanding of what organizations and people dealing directly with these children have to say. The interview was with the executive director of the National Foster Parent Association, an organization based out of Texas. She explained that along with working for a placement agency, and now this organization, that she was also a foster parent for 27 years. She explained the experiences of having separated siblings in her home, and that in some cases it meant daily contact with the other family in order to help the siblings cope and adjust. The need for actual follow-through in terms of placing siblings together is the biggest problem in her eyes. There are rules and regulations, just no follow-through. Lack of training may be in some cases why siblings are separated and losing connections with one another. She also pointed out that a huge number of kids come into foster care because of poverty, so it's more often neglect. That being said, children are not always being physically abused, and there are other reasons and areas that should be addressed to prevent any separation at all, such as poverty. Siblings in foster care are overlooked and underrepresented on all levels, from the little amount of support in terms of policy and actual follow-through, all the way to lack of research and data collection. The actual numbers of siblings in foster care are still unknown, and thus we can only estimate the number of siblings that are then separated. Further research should be conducted into how many siblings are in the foster care system so that future research can begin to understand how many are separated and how that influences these children's development and psychological well-being. Finally, expanding the definition of what a sibling is to include varying family dynamics and to ensure the safety and connections of all siblings, not just those that are biologically based. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Myers for all of his support throughout this semester and the past 3 years of school, and thank you to the Honors Program for giving me the opportunity to complete this project.